Kia ora koutou. Welcome to 2022, the year of Richie Benno, and the Hot Air Sports Podcast is back for another year. And look at me old mate there, Mahona. He looks resplendent in his new Liverpool shirt.
Oh, yes, mate. It arrived in the post just in time for the Hot Air Sports Podcast, episode number 1 in the year of our Lord Richie Benno 2022. We're living in the future, mate. I'm celebrating my freedom today by wearing the shirt of my choice, watching the television of my choice, and basically celebrating living in the best country of the world. Even though some people want to protest it, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, the less said about them, the better, I think. Exactly. We'll just rip straight into it. Our favourite topic straight off the top is football. And Liverpool have beaten Cardiff to continue their FA Cup run. Big question, though. Should the goalkeeper, Kwame Keller, have remained on the pitch before Liverpool actually scored?
Yeah, interesting one, this one. I thought it was a red when I first watched it. If I'm being completely honest, I thought it was a red, but for different reasons. I thought that he had taken him out and he was the last man there, but then you saw Kanate was there. And then in the replay, it looked like he was a little bit naughty to me. And I think he took out his ankle. But thankfully, we got away with that one, and we got away with the win too. So that's all that matters at the end of the day, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I sort of agree. When I saw it the first time, it was a bit of a, yeah. But then as soon as you saw the replay with Kanate hanging around, and I think that was the deciding factor, was the fact that, yes, the tackle was definitely yellow card worthy. The referee didn't think it was red card worthy. And the fact that Kanate was lurking around and had got between the ball and the goal meant it wasn't really a clear-cut goal-scoring chance. And, of course, we saw young Harvey Elliott back on the field for the first time since September, when he broke and dislocated his right ankle.
Mate, that was perhaps the bigger news, eh? I thought it was quite interesting that Klopp decided to bring him and our new signing, Luis Diaz, on at the same time. I thought he might have brought them on separately to get separate ovations, but he brought them both on at the same time, and everyone was excited to see Luis Diaz. But Harvey Elliott stole the show, didn't he, with that fantastic goal? Looked like a carbon copy of Mo Salah there, picking the ball up and then just swiveling and hitting it with the left, and it went bottom corner. It was just a fantastic shot. And the boy's only 18, mate. You know, he's had a terrible injury. It looked like he was going to be out for the season. He, even on the day that he got the injury, he had a smile on his face. I love the guy's attitude. He could just be anything. I mean, we've seen players come through from a young age, but to me, he reminds me of something. But he reminds me a little bit of, I mean, dare I say it, someone like Wayne Rooney. You know, he's got that low center of gravity, quite chunky. He's got he looks like a man-child to me for 18 years old. And, mate, he could be anything for Liverpool, couldn't he?
Yeah, well, I mean, you can see in years to come, he'll be on one side of the England midfield and Phil Foden will be on the other. They're both very similar type of players, aren't they? Quick feet, great eye for goal, and just buzzing about the place, all over the place. So both those guys have got massive futures in front of them. You mentioned Luis Diaz there. He played a full game, or almost a full game this morning for Liverpool in their 2-0 win over Leicester. And boy, he looks a great signing, doesn't he?
He's the first Colombian to play for Liverpool, isn't he? First Colombian. And he plays a bit like Luis Suarez, a little bit more rangy than Luis Suarez. And I think he's got a bit more gas too. He just looks a phenomenal player. He didn't give away a pass for the first
former All Blacks assistant coach and former commentator Earl Curtin would absolutely love his gas. He's got the gas.
He does have the gas, and great close control as well. Picked up an assist in that FA Cup with a lovely little dribble down the byline there. Absolutely fantastic. He looks like he could be phenomenal. When they brought off Firmino and they brought on Salah, that front three to me could just be anything, couldn't it, mate?
Could be.
They just all three of them are just goal scorers and have tons of gas.
Yeah, I going forward, I wouldn't mind seeing 4 of those guys playing on the same field. It would mean possibly
Firmino dropping deeper, or
Firmino dropping deeper behind either Salah or Jota up front, with either Diaz or Mane on one side, and either Elliott or Salah on the other side.
Yeah, that's a definite option against the Dross, I think.
Yeah.
I doubt we'd play like that against Manchester City, but if we're going for it in the second half or something, if we're chasing the game or if we're against the Dross, mate, I mean, definitely let's go for some big wins. Let's grind teams into the dirt like Manchester City were doing earlier in the year. And what did you make of the other results in the FA Cup? Anyway, there were some interesting ones, weren't there?
It was very sad to see the team from Old Trafford.
That was a shame, wasn't it, mate? You and I actually watched the second half of this together, didn't we?
We did watch the second half, extra time, and then the
glorious
penalty shootout.
We brought the luck to Middlesbrough, didn't we? The goal that Middlesbrough scored was a bit of a talking point, wasn't it? The ball crossed over, bounced up. He tried to control it. What's the guy's name again?
Duncan Watmore.
Duncan Watmore from Sunderland originally, wasn't it? The ball bounced up. It hit his arm inadvertently. You could tell he didn't mean to hit it, but it did hit his arm, and he did gain an advantage from it. He popped the ball across, and it was the ball was shuffled in. You and I instantly thought it was a goal, but then when we saw the replay, we thought, no, definitely a handball. But then we remembered they've changed the rules slightly so that goals such as last year's one, where I think Declan Rice got an advantage, or they ruled one out when he was playing Manchester United, so that if it's not directly leading to a goal and you do not deliberately handball it, the handball is allowed. You had a really interesting take on, because obviously to us, I mean, even though we're staunch Liverpool fans, we could see that was a handball, couldn't you? He gained an advantage from it. You had an interesting take on what they should do as far as the rules go with that one. What's your take on it? Because it's still not working.
You pretty much said it. I've always maintained that it should be given as handball if the player who handled the ball gains an advantage from it. Whether it's accidental or not, referees can tell if it's accidental or not. But in this case, because he gained an advantage, I thought that it probably should have been blown up, but that's not the rule.
It should be though, eh? I mean, really, that would rule it all out. It doesn't matter whether, obviously they can make the decision whether it's deliberate or not. But if they gain an advantage, I think that's a really good way, because he definitely gained an advantage. He didn't deliberately handball it, but he definitely gained. The ball bounced down.
Probably would have gone out for a goal kick if it.
Absolutely, it was looping upwards, wasn't it? Yeah. And his hand effectively made the ball bounce down, and he could control it. So they were out on a penalty shootout, which was very, very sad for Manchester United. And it didn't get much better during the week for them either. And Ronaldo was on the bench and came off the bench. Still wasn't happy when he came off the bench. They drew 1-1 with Burnley. Can he do it on a cold, wet night in Burnley on a Wednesday? No, he can't. No, Manchester United can't. And they are just a mess at the moment, aren't they, mate?
A couple of other interesting results in the FA Cup.
Wow.
Non-league Boreham Wood bored Bournemouth to death and beat them 1-0, knocking the championship side out of the cup. And Nottingham Forest, they're really on a tear at the moment. They're rising up that championship table very well, and they absolutely thumped Leicester 4-1. So the holders are out. And the other one that was nearly a massive upset, Kidderminster Harriers had West Ham with less than a minute to go.
I think it was 30 seconds. They were cheering when they kicked it downfield, weren't they?
It was just about to go to penalty shootout, and West Ham's Jared Bowen popped up and put the ball into the empty net to give them. They hardly had time to kick off, and the game was all over. So, some great upsets. The FA Cup just continues to give them, doesn't it? And,
the magic of the FA Cup.
The magic of the FA Cup. Liverpool have got Norwich in the next round at home.
And Norwich are on the improve too, mate. So don't take them lightly.
Yeah, whatever. The other interesting one, Boreham Wood. Now, who did I see they were playing?
I'm not sure who they've got in the next. Everton. They've got Everton at
Goodison Park.
At Goodison Park, which is very interesting because one of the guys that plays for them was after the game was wearing a Tony Hibbert shirt. I noticed he's a Scouser and a big Everton fan. So, man, what a dream for those guys. Going to Goodison.
Just on Everton, I'll talk about the players they transferred in and out in a minute. But boy, in their game against Newcastle during the week, Everton looked absolutely shambolic. I mean, we've
Yeah.
got Frank Lampard's in there as manager now.
Yes, he is.
We'll talk about in a minute.
Mm.
But it just looked the same Everton side, didn't it?
It's never going to change. It's never going to change. When's it going to change? I've got no idea. It's just bleak. It'd just be bleak to be an Everton fan, mate. It'd be, it doesn't seem to matter who they get in there. They could get Pep Guardiola in there and he wouldn't be able to do any different, mate. I just think it's between them, Spurs and Manchester United. They have to be the three worst maintained run clubs in the world. I mean, just hopeless.
Of course, over the last couple of weeks ago, the transfer window shut.
Yeah.
Just some of the more interesting ones.
Okay.
All white Chris Wood went to Newcastle.
Yeah.
From Burnley,
a lot of talk
with Kieran Trippier, Matt Targett from Aston Villa, Dan Burn from Brighton, and Brazilian Bruno Guimaraes signed. He came on the field just in the last couple of minutes in that game against Everton. Of course, Newcastle out of the relegation zone at the moment after that win.
Yeah, Chris Wood, man. A lot of talk in the UK about Chris Wood, saying, "Oh, what a waste of money that was." They need a body in there. Give him some service. He'll give him some service. He'll score some goals. They've got Kieran Trippier now. He actually provided a couple of peachy balls in that game against Everton. He'll provide some good service. I reckon he'll score goals. He'll score goals for Newcastle.
Aston Villa signed Steven Gerrard's former teammate Philippe Coutinho.
Wow.
From Barcelona.
Great
and Luca Dean from Everton. Hasn't Coutinho been on fire? He was amazing in yesterday's game against Leeds.
It's amazing.
It was an incredible game.
Oh, what a game. 3-2 at half time.
3-1 up at half time, or 3-2 at half time.
It's amazing what Coutinho can do when someone puts their arm around him. That's what it requires. And obviously, he wasn't getting any love at Barcelona. Stevie G knows how to get the best out of him, puts his arm around him. I think he got a goal and 2 assists yesterday. Yeah. He was absolutely on fire. It's the old Coutinho we're seeing, not the Barcelona one, the Liverpool one.
Yeah, well, I think I saw a comparison. Jadon Sancho's played 18 games for Man United so far this season, 1 goal and no assists. Coutinho's played 3 games for Aston Villa as 2 goals and 2 assists.
Oh yeah, but they've got resale value with Jadon Sancho, mate. He's a young guy. Yeah, that's what they need. Yeah, resale value.
Other transfers: Everton signed Dele Alli from Spurs and loaned Donny van der Beek from Man United.
Just the sort of players you need when you're in a relegation scrap. Those sort of players.
Exactly. Yeah. Spurs made a couple of late signings.
Desperate signings.
And Kulusevski from Juventus, who at the same time sold Aaron Ramsey to Rangers. That was an interesting one. Dutchman Wout Weghorst replaces Chris Wood at Burnley.
And he's doing well.
Man City signed Julian Alvarez from River Plate and loaned him straight back. Meanwhile, Manchester United and Arsenal do nothing.
Well, Manchester United and Arsenal, unfortunately, have players on the books who are paid way too much money. Yeah. Arsenal got rid of Aubameyang, didn't they? They got rid of him to Barcelona. So they cleared a bit of money off their wage bill. Manchester United, I mean, they're paying Ronaldo $500,000 a week, and he can't even make the team. So how the hell are they going to sign any players when they're playing? I mean, they're in this mess again. I mean, remember they had Sanchez with the same thing, paying him way too much money, not getting any game time, and then they go out and sign Ronaldo. You and I said at the beginning it was a disaster waiting to happen. What do we know, mate? There you go.
And just talking about Aubameyang too, I noticed on transfer deadline day he did a Peter Odom wingy.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Turns up
and caught a flight to Barcelona to try and push through the transfer. And originally, Barcelona said, "No, we're not interested."
What are you doing here?
To which Aubameyang said, "Oh no, I'm only here to visit my family.
Just having a look, just on a tour of the stadium, just family tour." Yeah.
And so eventually they got sick of him and signed him. And of course, Peter Odom wingy was famous about 10 years ago for driving from. Where was he going? West Brom was involved.
I think Stoke might have been
West Brom to Stoke, or Stoke to West
something
Brom.
like that. Yeah.
And he drove to the one he wanted to go to, and basically they said no.
Got we told to turn around,
drive all the way back. Anyway, we touched on Frank Lampard becoming the Everton manager. Another old stage is back. Roy Hodgson.
Oh, Roy, the return of Roy. He's like 143 years old. Yep. He's been coaching for over 100 years, and he's back. He's never going to die. He's going to be in the Premier League till way after we're dead and gone, mate.
He's Watford's 35th manager in the last 2 seasons.
I know. It's absolutely crazy. But I'll tell you what, he's a solid pair of hands for them, I guess. I mean, the mess they're in, who the hell knows? I mean, they've tried everything else, so why not try Woy?
The big question, though, is Brendan Rodgers next for the chopping block?
Well, to me, I mean, once you start slagging off your players, there's not really many places to go, is there? And last game, he did slag off the players. He said, they've got to work out whether they want to be here. Yeah, to me, it's not looking great there. And also, if he stays, I think only another 3 or 4 months, it's going to be the longest time that he's ever stayed at a club. So he's getting to that sort of area where he's usually 4 or 5 years and he's gone. So, but where would he go? I mean, maybe he's trying to line himself up for the Man United job.
The poison chalice.
Good luck.
I think one other big thing that happened on transfer or the day before transfer deadline day was Christian Erickson returning to football.
Yeah, that was
suffering that heart attack at the Euros in June. So good luck to Christian Erickson. I hope he's obviously been given the clearance from his doctors. So
it's interesting though, isn't it, that he couldn't play in Italy because they've got rules about stents and stuff. Yet in the UK, they just sort of say, "Oh, no, it's fine." Not much. I haven't read too much or seen too much on why it's banned in one country and not in another. Whether there is a risk, obviously. The medical opinion in one country says there is a risk. So I don't know. Anyway, what about the Champions League ties, mate? We're going to talk a little bit about the Champions League. Liverpool, of course, have got Inter Milan in our first game coming up in the next week. How do you think we'll go on that one?
Yeah, I think over the 2 legs, we'll definitely come out of it okay. I think it'll be a tight one in Milan. We obviously played there earlier on in the season when we played AC Milan. And, I don't think they're quite the match of Inter Milan, although they're both in a similar position on the table in Serie A at the moment. It's going to be a difficult game, no 2 ways about it. It's always difficult when you're traveling to stadiums like the San Siro or Bernabeu or the Nou Camp, those famous old stadiums that just generate atmosphere when they've got people in them. So it's going to be a difficult trip to Italy. I think we should be able to come away with it with a draw or a win, a narrow win. But I'm confident that the boys will get through the tie.
And there's no away goals in these ties either, is there? I think that's been done away with.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think it has. So I don't know how
decided on that one. Yeah,
it'll be extra time and penalties, I guess. What about the other ties? Any of the other ties sort of stand out for you? You got those up in front of you?
Let me just grab them in front of me here. Who Man City? Who did they draw?
I'm not quite sure, mate.
Here we go. We got the big one. Paris Saint-Germain against Real Madrid.
There you go. That's a huge one.
Man City are away at Sporting Lisbon. So
of course, they got Sporting Lisbon. Yeah.
Red Bull Salzburg should get well beaten by Bayern Munich. Chelsea, they've got Lille, so you'd pretty much guarantee they'd get through. Villarreal, Juventus, that could be an interesting game. Juventus haven't exactly been lighting the fire at the moment this season. Benfica, Ajax, that could go either way. You'd probably back Ajax, given the form that they showed in the qualifying rounds. Atletico Madrid, they've got an easy opponent.
Who they got?
Man United. So there we go. I think it'll be City, either PSG or Real Madrid. Bayern Munich, Liverpool, Chelsea. I'm going to say Juventus over Villarreal, Ajax, and Atletico Madrid. I think are going to go through. Okay,
there you go. You heard it all here first. What about the Premier League, mate? Is the title race still on after Liverpool within 9 points now of Manchester City? A lot of people are saying Manchester City done and dusted. Give them the title now. We've still got to play Manchester City. We've got a game in hand. If we beat them and we get our game in hand, we're only 3 points behind. It only requires them to lose one game, doesn't it? So all those people that are saying it's done and dusted, it's just on fire.
Yep. It's never all over. I mean, even the year that Man City ran away with it, it was still relatively it was down to the last couple of months, really, until everybody was saying, this is all over.
Yeah.
But when you have results like Man City had a couple of weeks back, drawing 1-1 at Southampton. That just goes to show anything can happen in the Premier
Absolutely.
League, especially when you've still got 15 games to go. So, I mean, there's 45 points up for grabs.
Yeah, and they come thick and fast now. I mean, this is the best part of the season. This is when the games just come bang, 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 especially if you're still in Europe and you're still in cup competitions. The games just come game after game after game, and you can pick up points real fast. You can drop them real fast as well. The title race is far from over. I think the most exciting part, though, will be who finishes fourth. There's probably about 6 or 7 teams that could finish fourth at the moment, including Wolves. Although they lost today to Arsenal, which was a bit of a hammer blow, they're still in the running as well. And down the bottom, I mean, who's going to be relegated? Now, Newcastle have just got out of the bottom 3. Brentford are falling like a stone. Burnley are now picking up the odd point here. There's so much to play. I love the Premier League, mate. Love the Premier League.
Burnley are bottom on 14 points, but they've played 3 or 4 games less than about everybody else.
They've only won 1 game, though, all season.
They have only won 1 game. I wanted Burnley to stay up previously because Chris Wood was there, but he's gone, so now I don't care.
Bye, Sean. Bye.
I know we did make our picks at the beginning of the season, and I think I had Crystal Palace
to go down,
the relegated. But they're going to be safe. They're playing really well.
They are
under Patrick Vieira. I think the bottom 3 that are there at the moment, Norwich, Watford, and Burnley, are going to be the 3 to go down.
It's interesting. I think Watford and Burnley, it's probably pretty. Yeah, I don't know. I just fear a little bit for Brentford at the moment as well, man. I've lost like 5 in a row, 5, 6 in a row, and they just look like they're devoid of confidence. I don't know. We shall see. Anyway, in other football news, mate, Salah and Mane met in the final of the AFCON African Nations Cup, and our mate Mane got the jelly beans at the end after a penalty shootout. It was a terrible game. It was terribly refereed. It was just awful, really. Egypt decided not to play football, just go for the penalties. And in the end, I was quite pleased that Mane won, and Senegal took the trophy, because I just hate it when one team just decides to play for penalties. The controversy that came out of that afterwards, though, was Salah. They put him at number 5 as the 5th penalty taker, often as they do, like they did with Portugal with Ronaldo. And of course, it didn't make it to the 5th penalty, did it? So he didn't get to take a penalty. What are your thoughts on that one, mate? Do you think your best penalty player takers should be first or last?
Not necessarily first. I think in that situation, once Egypt had missed a couple of penalties or even 1 penalty, then that person that you've got at 5, you need to start sliding him down the order so that he doesn't miss out on taking a penalty. So if you miss the first couple,
are you allowed to? Are you allowed to?
You don't. You don't. Yeah, you can.
You don't have to stick to.
No, you can swap and change them. You only have to nominate 5. I'm pretty.
And they can take. I don't know.
Nominate them in order.
Okay, well that's interesting. If you don't, then they are crazy for not making them take it, aren't they? I mean, for me, I think if you had to nominate 5 and you're not allowed to change them, I would always have my top penalty taker in the first 3, because that way, if the first couple are missed, at least he gets to take a penalty. I can understand why you want your best penalty taker at 5, because generally, if everyone else scores the penalty, it'll be the most pressure. So you want your best player, to be taken when there's the most pressure, but you don't want him to miss out on taking one altogether, because that's just stupid.
No, it is difficult. I mean, I would always have my best penalty taker taking first, because you're almost guaranteed to get that first. It's always important to get the first one on the board. I agree. At least in the top 3. I reckon you have your 3 best penalty takers, 1, 2, 3, in any order, and then the last 2. I mean, but other people are saying, oh no, because what if your best penalty taker misses? But that's just what can happen. It's like it happens. It can. It's like a toss of a coin, isn't it? That can happen. So anyway, redemption for Mane. I'm so glad for him, because I thought that I heard stories that his house might get burnt down, his family taken hostage, all sorts of stuff. If he missed another penalty. He actually missed a penalty during the game as well, and he's actually missed penalties before in previous AFCONs when Senegal have lost. So
I was so stoked for him. I saw he slept with the trophy afterwards, and
Yeah.
and my God, he didn't miss that last penalty, did he? That was a great penalty. He absolutely smashed it. So
and just before we get on to other football things,
that is,
talking of Liverpool, they're still alive in 4 competitions, with the Carabao Cup final coming up in a couple of weeks' time against Chelsea. That'll be a toughie. We'll talk about that in a couple of weeks' time. But yeah, still alive in all 4 comps. It's the first time we've been in that situation in a long
time. Yeah, we are, mate. We can still win all of them. Obviously, the Premier League is probably the least likely for us to win because we're a little bit further behind. I've always backed us in the Champions League. I think any team coming to Anfield is pushing the proverbial uphill with a fork to try and get anything out of the game, especially when they come from the continent. It just has that aura about it. It just adds another man to us. So I always think we've always got a chance in the Champions League. We're in the League Cup final. I mean, against Chelsea, who aren't playing that well at the moment. So, my God, we've got a really good shot of winning that. And the FA Cup, mate, I mean, look, all our players are fit again. I mean, amazing what we can do when everyone's fit. You looked at our bench today, looking incredibly strong. It's just looking great for Liverpool at the moment, mate. It's a great time to be a Liverpool fan, isn't it?
Yeah, now I must have missed out on something here because I watched a bit of the West Ham Watford game yesterday.
Oh,
Every time Kurt Zuma got the ball, everybody was booing at him.
I didn't know what was going on either until I heard the interview afterwards.
I had actually seen it. I was just being
facetious. With David Moyes, who said he was an animal lover, but he picks his best football team. Couldn't believe this. Kurt Zuma posted a video. Why the hell you'd even video it? Why then you'd post it on social media? Just proves what a bloody idiot he is. There's some sort of moral disconnect with this guy. He's kicking his cat around his kitchen while his family laughs about it. And then they have the nerve to say, oh, no, well, actually, our cats are great. And so the Royal SPCA have come out and taken away his cat now. There's all sorts of drama about it. The thing that's interesting today, though, is that Michael Antonio from West Ham has come out and said, I've got a question for you. Do you think what Zuma has done is worse than racism?
Oh, let's pull the racism card.
Yep, here we go, mate. Here we go. I'm not condoning a thing that he's done. I don't agree with it. But there's people that have been convicted and have been caught for racism and have played football afterwards. They've got an 8-game punishment or something like that. But people are now calling for people to be sacked and lose their livelihood. I just think you have to take each case on its merits. And this made me sick. And I mean, anyone that doesn't feel sick watching something like that has just got something wrong with them fundamentally, man. Well, and I just think...
I ask you the question, as a fellow animal lover, what would happen to Kurt Zuma if he did that to a person?
Absolutely. He'd go to jail. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So why is it any different to do what he did to a harmless animal?
Because it's easier. It's easier for him. You know, that's the thing. He's not going to the animal's not going to turn around and punch him in the face, is it? I mean, so there's no jeopardy. It goes back. It reminds me a little bit of the Michael Vick thing. The way that, you know, there is massive outrage on it. And there's the whole thing, don't fuck with cats. Also, don't fuck with, or dogs, or any animals. The thing is, they can't defend themselves. They can't stand up for themselves. They can't go on a moral crusade. They can't do anything. So, of course, the people that love animals are going to come down on you like a ton of bricks. And the fact that you thought that you could post that video, even if it was by mistake, or video it and then even think about posting it, makes me think you're even more screwed up, you know? So, not football, but just wrong. And, Kurt Zuma, I don't think he should be banned from football forever, but David Moyes made way more of it than he needed to. He should have just said, right, you're standing down for the next couple of games and be done with it, but he's more worried about his football. So he's made it more of an issue, and it's going to rumble on, mate. It's going to rumble on.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen instances in the past, haven't we? I mean, just ask Andrew Hoare what happened to him after he went out
popped a few seals.
Yeah.
I mean, why?
Hold on.
How do you get your jollies? I mean, what sort of person are you? It just says a lot about... See, and the thing is, that's going to define him now. That's going to... the Andrew Hoare, as soon as you said his name, I thought seal killer. Michael Vick, I thought dog fighter. Kurt Zuma, I think cat kicker now. That's him, defined forever. Not a footballer, cat kicker.
Yep. And even his own fans were booing him. Anyway, let's move on to nicer things in the Phoenix. have continued some good form recently following wins over Macarthur and Victory. They've really hit the gas right now, haven't they?
Mate, they're looking really good, eh? They're looking really good. The new signings seem to have gelled. They're playing possession-based football. A couple of midfielders that look really confident on the ball. It looks even like Rufa might score a goal. The other day, I was thinking, shit, could we see Rufa score a goal? But no, they're just looking like a confident football team. And Ufuk Talay, there's been some absolutely shocking decisions from the Australian referees over there. Let's not get into that when we've won 2 games back to back. Let's just hope it continues.
Yes, when he touched on it, he definitely does have a stronger squad now with Gary Hooper. Obviously had to go back to the UK for personal reasons. He's back now. Gail Sandoval and Scott Wooten, they've shored things up a bit. And of course, Ollie Sale is back in
He's
goal
in good
again.
form too.
Mind you, Alex Paulson, the young 18-year-old, did a pretty good job deputising for him. But Sale made a couple of brilliant saves against Melbourne Victory and kept them in the game. But I like the look of this Gail Sandoval. He looks quality. Got a goal in his first game.
Yeah, he looks really good, really good on the ball, and exactly what they needed. You know, a little bit. I mean, obviously, not like Liverpool, but a little bit. At least when we do our signings, I like our diligence. You know, we go out and we select the players in the positions we need, and obviously we don't have as much money as some of the bigger clubs, like Victory, who we played really well against. So we can't go out and get those sort of marquee players in the market that we're shopping in, but we somehow seem to get some good talent, don't we? So yeah. Well done to the Phoenix. I just hope it continues, mate. I hope it continues.
Quite right. Moving on to a rugby league.
Rugby league.
NRL season is what? 6 weeks away?
It's not far, mate. It's not far. Early March.
And one thing that I have picked up, I don't follow the league that closely, as you know, but one thing I have noticed in the last week or so is apparently Reece Walsh isn't very happy.
No. Well, this is what they say. This is reported in Australian papers. So take this with a grain of salt, that Reece Walsh is wanting out of his Warriors contract, probably at the end of this season, to try and hook up with the Dolphins. Now, remember, Reece Walsh is a young lad. He's only 18, 19 years old. He's from Northern Queensland. He's only played league in Northern Queensland. I don't even think he's been out of Queensland except a couple of games in New South Wales. He's a native boy. He's not well travelled, and he doesn't want to live in New Zealand. I would completely understand that, but I'm not going to believe it until I hear it from his mouth. You know, it's like all this. The Dolphins are doing very well with their signings. They've taken a lot of talent off the Melbourne Storm. They've signed a few players from Parramatta. They're cherry picking all the clubs, and they've gone out strategically to try and get who they want. And obviously, Reece Walsh, being a superstar last year, being established his first season, doing what he did, and then being from North Queensland, he's the sort of player they want to go and get. So they're going to plant the odd story in the paper and say, he's unsettled. He doesn't want to go anywhere. Come and play for us, and that's completely natural. I don't think anyone in the Warriors needs to panic for a start. If we lost Reece Walsh at the end of this season, we'd just go and get someone else. We'd just have to. We'd be forced to. And I wouldn't want him playing for the Warriors if that was true. So for me, I'm just going to take it all with a grain of salt, a bit like I do with the football rumours, mate. Who's coming to Liverpool? Until I hear it from his mouth, I won't believe it. But anyway, mate, this is our year.
Of course it is.
You hear it every year, don't we? We always say it. Warriors fans, we always say this is our year. We normally, though, have our tongue firmly in our cheek, but I honestly think that this year could be our year, Macca, at least to make the finals. At least to make the finals, anyway. At least to make the finals. This year could be different, man. We've got our star homeboy, the golden boy, the return of the prodigal son. Sean Johnson is back in the halves. We've got good backup in the halves for once. Cody Nikorima, Chanel Harris-Tavita, and new boy Ash Taylor, who have picked up on a play and pay contract, which is he's a hell of a talent. He was on $1 million a year at the Titans, and he's a great backup. So for quality halves, we have perhaps our best depth in this position without blowing over the salary cap. Taylor and Johnson have signed for way under probably them for the type of players they are. And we've got 10 sensation Reece Walsh at the back, at least for next year, who can provide the razzle-dazzle. I really am looking up. I think things are looking up for us. We've got a good set of centres. We've got a couple of options at fullback. We've got some nice wingers. And perhaps our best ever depth at prop with Ben Murdoch-Masilla. We've got Adam Fanua-Blake. We've got the big boy Matt Lodge. We've got some really good depth at back row as well. I really think this could be the year that we make the finals. Now, we've lost a few players, of course. We lost Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, Peter Hiku, David Fusatua, Kemba Malo. Now, those are a lot. That's a lot of experience in the back line. And previously, in previous seasons, that might have been insurmountable. But I reckon this year, with the late season acquisition last year of Reece Walsh, Dallin Watini's the Lesniak, that was a very good, wise pickup. He's got a lot of experience. He's safe at the back. And then we've got Ash Taylor coming in forwards, Matt Lodge and Aaron Penne. No, not the guy that used to run off the back of the scrum for the Highlanders all those years ago. Aaron Penne, he's been signed from the Storm. He's a big bopper up front. And, of course, promising form of newcomers. Let's not forget Rocco Berry, who was a breakout star last year, had a couple of injuries, but he's a solid player. And Ed Cossey, who scored a few tries last year as well. I think those losses that we've had should be somewhat offset. So, I'm really looking up at the season. I always do. I'm always an optimist at the beginning of the season, but man, I really look at our roster and I like it. In our first three games, if you look at our first three games, first game's on the 12th of March against the Dragons, then the 19th of March against the Titans, and then the 25th of March against the Tigers. So all three of those, to me, look like winnable games. The key thing will be, can Nathan Brown get these guys performing consistently? We've asked for it for years. Time is over for excuses. I'm just completely over it. If we've got a roster like this, we can't make the top 8. Seriously, I don't know what I'm doing supporting them. Honestly, I don't. We should be seriously in contention, mate. And we should seriously be in contention when we return to Auckland. Now, I've been talking about this for so bloody long, I don't even know whether it's ever going to happen, but they have penciled it in for the first time in 2 years. They're scheduled to play Penrith on June 18. Okay, so I'm rostering myself off on that date. I will not be working. I will be going to Mount Smart Stadium and barracking for my team. Go the Mighty Warriors.
Fantastic.
There you go.
So,
wait.
Any other news from around some of the other teams?
There is some sad rugby league news. We'll get to that later on, though. A doyen of rugby league in New Zealand has died far too early as well. We'll get to that very shortly. But as far as the other teams goes, who cares, really? Who cares? I mean, the Storm have been whinging that all their players have been pinched by the Dolphins, and I'm like, God, really? You know, now you know how it feels, and they're wanting rules to be changed and everything. So just get over it, mate. No, I just can't wait for the league season to start, quite frankly, mate. Bring it on.
Excellent. Moving on to rugby, and that's we're only a week away from the start of that.
I know.
But before we get to Super Rugby, New Zealand Rugby, they're on an annual event.
Yeah, they
playing around.
They finally fixed it, Macca. They fixed it.
NPC format.
They fixed it.
Gone are the Premiership and Championship.
Good.
Yep, we're back to one 14-team competition.
Oh, fantastic. That's what we've been asking for.
And 2 conferences of 7 teams.
How does that work?
So you play the teams in your conference once, and you play 5 other teams. And
how do they
once
work out whose conference you're in? What's the conference?
Well, the conferences are based on last year's finishing positions. Which
during
is interesting.
When the whole of the North Island didn't play.
So selected the 2 conferences selected on the 2021 finishing place, split into odds and evens, doesn't take into account the 3 Auckland-based teams only playing a couple of games. So effectively, Auckland, who were considered one of the favourites to win the NPC, seeded 6th.
Oh, you started so well. Well. And now I'm just depressed again.
They've put it into, so it's along with semi-finals and finals. Yeah, it's a 12-week competition.
Okay.
Why not add 2 weeks to the tournament and just make it a round robin?
you're not. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the conferences. Can I just get this straight? Can one conference provide all 4 semi-finalists, or can only 2 from each conference make the semis? Is it like the Super Rugby, So is there going to be a case? What I'm saying is, in Conference B or whatever it is there going to be a team who finishes with more points than the team that comes third or whatever in the other conference,
probably.
and yet they miss out? Probably that'll happen too.
Yeah.
And then they'll bring in 2-point bonus points for the best haircuts. And I'm sorry, mate. I'm sorry. Look, rugby needs to get back to basics in more ways than one. And one way they could do that without even trying to fix the sport on the field is by fixing it off the field, by simplifying shit. And you started by saying they're simplifying stuff, and now they've complicated it again. And I don't know. See, there's too many questions again. One team gets to play the best team twice, and then another team gets to play them once, and then they make the finals because they only played Auckland once. I mean, that is not fair. That is not a fair competition.
The other stupid thing about it is I just talked about it being a 12-week competition. So you know the fact that the 2 weeks before the competition starts, they're going to have warm-up games, aren't they? So why not make those warm-up games competition games and extend the tournament by an extra couple of weeks, and including in that competition, they're going to have a midweek round.
Do you think they actually sat down? Do you think the guys coming up with this actually sat down and talked about this like you and I are now? Do you think they actually did that? Or do you think someone just got a spiral binder and just highlighted a bunch of stuff and sent it off to his boss, and he went, "Oh, that looks good," ticked it off?
Yeah.
Mate, honestly, you and I been talking about this for about 5 minutes, and we come up with a better idea.
Yeah. I know. Anyway, Super Rugby starts next week.
Super Rugby.
They're in a bubble in the South Island.
Yes, and they've still got COVID.
And they're still here.
Sorry. Shouldn't laugh about that. I mean, that's terrible. But
really, was this needed, or is it yet another New Zealand rugby overreaction?
Yet the the Blues coach is complaining that, come on, let's just get people back watching. It's ridiculous.
Well,
people are over it.
CEO.
The Blues CEO, even worse.
Neil McDonald.
He's like saying, "Oh, look, we're just over it. People are over it. People need to see rugby again. People just want their rugby." I mean, that to me was about as narrow-minded as the rugby fans at Rugby Park all those years ago when the protesters tried to stop the rugby because of apartheid, chanting, "We want rugby. We want rugby." I mean, it's just stupid, mate. It's just dumb, So what's going to happen in the Super Rugby this year anyway? They're playing all the games in Queenstown, are they? I'm not really.
Well, the first 3 rounds are in Queenstown and Dunedin.
And then after those 3 weeks, we'll be rid of Omicron and we can go back to normal, can we?
The draw for next week, Mahona Pacifica play the Blues at Forsyth Bar.
Oh, I don't like the chances there. They didn't have a very good warm-up game, did they?
No, they've got another one no, they haven't got another one this weekend because of a COVID scare. Chiefs play the Highlanders in Queenstown, and Crusaders versus Hurricanes in Dunedin at Forsyth Bar.
Okay.
So the whole point, that confuses me from the start. So you've got everybody in the Queenstown area doing their bubble training thing, but yet they're still got to travel into Dunedin to play their games.
Yeah.
So wasn't the whole bubble thing to avoid having to travel before and after games?
Yeah.
Okie dokie.
Yeah.
In Australia, the Waratahs will play the Fijian Drua in Sydney.
Are we going to play those sides as well? Are we playing Australian sides playing in the Super Rugby now as well with us? Or
I'll get to that.
Oh, okay.
So Waratahs versus Fijian Drua in Sydney, Reds versus the Rebels in Brisbane, and Brumbies versus Western Force in Canberra.
Okay, so
they've got their own team bubbles, but they're still travelling around playing the games.
Oh, that's the Australian Conference.
That's the Australian Conference. They rejigged the draw, so basically it's all New Zealand games against Moana Pacifica and the other New Zealand teams
first.
the first 6 weeks of the competition.
Okay.
And same in Australia. And then
everyone goes traveling.
With the travel borders.
Everyone goes traveling around the world after being in their little bubbles, protecting each other for 6 weeks.
Knowing New Zealand rugby, everything will all happen in Australia because that's what they seem to do.
Probably, yeah.
Anyway, will it be another Crusaders win, or will the Blues with Barrett back and RTS finally live up to their hype?
I hope so.
Dark horses.
Well, you'd have to say the Blues with that sort of backline talent have to be in the equation, don't you? The Crusaders, to me, they still look the best all round. I mean, they always do. They recruit well. They just got the best coaching, and they'll always be there or thereabouts. The Chiefs will be interesting this year. Don't think they look quite as strong. I don't know really much about the Highlanders, but they're always, they always compete, don't they, the Highlanders? I'm looking forward to seeing the island sides this year, though, man. I really am. I just hope that if they do get a couple of thrashings, they don't just drop their head and sort of do the whole Japan Sunwolf sort of thing. I hope they rise up. I hope they improve, and that's all you can ask is that they improve. Playing rugby against a better quality opposition, right? I would hope that also if they get to travel, that they play well as well. Often those island sides do better, as a group away from home. They do improve as a touring team, much like the Kiwis do the same, because they create this real family atmosphere. And I hope that some of that can come through in their rugby. So quite looking forward to all that. As far as how the competition is formatted, I've got no idea what the hell's going on. I guess I'll just watch individual games and try and enjoy individual games and not worry about the points. For me, they just need to simplify it and get rid of bonus points. I've been saying it for years. Bonus points are a joke. They don't have them in the NRL. They don't have them in the NFL. They don't have them in the Premier League. All the top competitions in the world, sporting competitions, don't have bonus points. You can't get a bloody bonus point. It's stupid. You lose the game, you lose the game. Oh, we scored 4 points. We get a point anyway. Sorry.
Quite right. Now, the other thing I've picked up on, Sanzar says if there is a COVID outbreak among teams and they have to bring in inexperienced players, more specifically props, games will be played with uncontested scrums.
Neato.
Of course, New Zealand Rugby has agreed to this. None of the coaches are happy about this, saying it will ruin the games. What they're trying to do is doing what they've been doing in the Australian NBL basketball competition.
Yeah, but that's basketball.
I know it's basketball. But what they've got is a pool of players that if teams lose 3 or 4 players to COVID, they can call in these club players to help bolster their roster.
Who are nice and clean, who don't have COVID.
And that's what Sanzar's done. They've created a pool of players. So effectively, if you lose 2 or 3 props out of your squad, they'll bring in 3 club props. But of course, they're not going to do very well coming up against,
Offa Tuagafasi,
Offa Tuagafasi or
Big Carl Tua Nukuafi, one of those. But I mean, why don't they just take scrums away altogether? I mean, honestly, if they're going to go to golden oldies, just take them away altogether, or have league scrums. Only put 6 guys in there, or make them all huddle up and just tap the ball. I mean, I don't know. The only reason you have scrums is to try and take the forwards out of the game. I think there's too many. I think there's too many players on the field in a game of rugby anyway. But we're not going to go there, honestly.
Anyway, on a more exciting note, some rugby that was actually played. Six Nations began last weekend with the mighty Sweaty Sox beating England to win the Calcutta Cup.
Is that twice in a row? 2 in a row.
Ireland thrashed last season's champs Wales, and France smash Italy.
Ireland and France looked powerful. Both of those teams looked powerful. What did you make of the Calcutta Cup?
I thought Scotland played really well.
They did, honestly, Italy.
On a flash side, they're not going to beat teams by 30 points. But boy, do they go about their work well, and they've got a tight defence. They just do the basics very well. A couple of questions for me that have come out of that first round. How many more chances will Eddie Jones get as England coach?
He just seems to go on and on and on. They just love him over there, don't they? He doesn't seem to be able to do any wrong, even when they lose. I don't know. I wouldn't have a clue. What do you reckon?
Oh,
are they losing patience with him? Are they?
They'll stick with him till at least the end of Six Nations, I would imagine. But we're going into a World Cup year next year. If they're going to make a change, they're going to have to make it soon. And they've just been rubbish the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, they haven't won a Six Nations for about 5 years now.
Yeah, I can't imagine. He's dining out on making the World Cup final a few years ago, isn't he? I can't imagine that, losing 2 in a row to the Scots, that too many English rugby coaches have survived that. So,
well, they've lost 3 of the last 4.
Well, there you go. I mean, I reckon he's obviously walking on thin ice.
And a question for our good friend Martin Reid: is this Scotland's year?
Maybe. What do you reckon? Martin?
Ooh. Yes.
Six Nations champion.
Obviously, with a surname like McDonald, I always like to see the Scots do well. And I might just have to put a sly tenner on them to win the Six Nations.
Yeah.
Just a sly one.
Maybe. We'll just check it out. Maybe.
And when will Italy become competitive? Or is it time to have promotion relegation to the tournament with a team like Georgia getting a chance?
Yeah, that could be a go. I mean, Italy have had, how long's it been the Six Nations now? Must be close to 20 years.
Oh, easy. Yeah.
So when they first came in, that was the whole reason for them coming in, wasn't it? They'll improve, and they just never seem to improve. And they always seem to take expats from New Zealand, Australia, the islands, everywhere. I don't know how much it's developing the rugby in Italy, but I can't see them improving. Have they ever finished any better than 6th? Maybe 5th once?
I think 1 year they might have finished 5th a couple of years.
So
because going back 6-7 years, Scotland were rubbish.
Yeah, they were.
Italy beat Scotland once or twice.
So for them to be finishing that low every single time, you'd have to say, why not try another team? Why not? Georgia are improving. They've got a great set of forwards. We saw that in the World Cup. So
massive,
absolutely.
And you've got quite a lot of those Georgian players playing in the English Premiership too. For clubs around the area, and also in other countries as well.
And also, it'd be nice to see the Six Nations game in Georgia. See how the Georgian people react to that.
Yes.
Sure, the crowd would be interesting.
Quite right.
Yeah. Okay, shall we move on to stateside? Let's go baseball, mate. We're obviously in the off season with the baseball. I've not really been following the moves off season, but obviously you keep an eye on it. What's been going on?
Well, nothing since the 1st of December because the collective bargaining agreement between the Major League Baseball and the Baseball Players Association expired, and they still haven't been able to come to an agreement. So what the heck's going on? Who are the protagonists, and what's the hold up to an agreement? Well, spring training was due to start next week, and the actual season is now under threat as this lockout draws on. Essentially, during the lockout, clubs cannot talk to players. So no player transactions have been going on. The only signings clubs can make are through their minor league teams. So there's been a couple of minor league transactions done, but that's about it. And I'll tell you what, if the season gets delayed, this could be the last straw for fans who have had to go through 2 years of COVID restrictions at ballpark. Took years after the last lockout in 1994 for fans to return to the game. And this time it could actually be longer. Fans are just absolutely disgusted with the way.
So who's at fault? Is it the owners or the players?
It's the players versus the owners.
Yeah, it always is. But who, in your opinion, who is to blame here? Are the owners, are they saying they should play for too little, or are the players holding up for too much?
Well, it's not really dollars and cents at the end of the day. It is for some players, but your top line stars who are all, who've become free agents and are earning mega millions. It's not them. They're fighting for their younger players that are coming through the system. Basically, players want to get rid of teams tanking once they're out of playoff contention and introduce an NBA-style draft lottery so teams don't try to finish the season with the worst record. They also don't want a manipulation of service time. So basically, when you first make the major leagues, you've got 6 years of arbitration, which means you basically, at the end of each season, you discuss with your club or owner
how much you're going to get paid for the next season.
How much you're going to get paid for the next season.
Yep.
And what clubs and franchises have been doing is not putting their best young talents in at the start of a season. They're waiting a month because then it's not a full year. So they're basically getting 6 years and 5 months of a season.
I see.
Is only classed as 6 years because they have to be full years.
Surely they could just be tidied up with a stroke of a pen, though. They could just say, well, obviously not.
Yeah, obviously not. And increasing compensation for younger players. So, I mean, you look at Aaron Judge's prime example.
Yep.
2 years ago when he, or 4 years ago now, when he broke the Major League Baseball rookie record for home runs and was runner-up in the MVP voting. That was his second season in Major League Baseball. He only got paid $600,000 that season. And the next season, his salary only went up to just over $1 million. Superstar player earning bugger all money.
But that happens. I mean, look at Harvey Elliott. Look at, there's lots of kids that...
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Is the 6 years too long, though? I mean, 6 years sounds a hell of a long time to me. I mean, surely they should say for your first couple of years in the big leagues that you go to arbitration so that...
As I was about to say, Aaron Judge didn't start playing Major League Baseball till he was 25. So he's not going to get to free agency until he's 31. And then he's only got
5 years.
5 years left in his career.
Sure. So that's not really fair, is it? Yeah. The players don't really have any control. And that 6 year period just seems incredibly long to me. So to me, from what you've just told me as a layman, as someone looking at this, who hasn't heard any of this before, is just looking at it from a purely fact-based point of view, from what you've told me, to me, it sounds like the owners have had it pretty bloody good. And they can basically treat the players as meat, basically. And that's what they've been doing. And the players have been basically accepting that. And now they've said that's enough. So we want a little bit of things. So they're asking for a bit more rope, and the owners aren't prepared to give it to them.
So what the players are actually saying is that service time should be gauged against the player's age. So then a player starting out... that's coming into the major leagues at 2021, like the likes of Mike Trout, Bryce Harper, Manny Machado, Carlos Correa, all
the superstar players that come in early.
Those guys that come in at 2021.
Then they should have a shorter period.
No, they should still have their 6 years.
Okay.
Because they're going to be 25, 26.
I still think 6 years is too long, though.
I know. The players aren't arguing about the 6 years. They want it gauged on the player's age.
That makes complete sense. That makes a lot more sense, doesn't it?
So, for example, Aaron Judge, starting at 25, he gets to become a free agent at 27, not 35.
Absolutely. That makes a lot more sense. So maybe if you take it from the age of 21, if the 21-year-old comes into the league, they've got the 6 years. If a 25-year-old comes into it, they've got 2 years. Completely understand that. But to me, from what you've just said, to me, it's still the owners have all the power, and they're just wanting to keep all the players as meat. So,
so basically, the owners just want to not have to spend so much on players, especially when they become free agents.
Of course they
want to keep service time as it is.
Yep.
MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred, he answers to the owners. And after the last breakdown in talks, requested a mediator be brought in, but the Players Association said no. You actually have to bargain and negotiate
before you bring a mediator.
Now the owners and Manfred have been meeting this week after the Players Association refusal to get a mediator in, and just this morning it's been announced that the owners have agreed to a draft lottery and also a universal designated hitter, which was another one of the players they wanted. So that will mean in the National League, the pitchers don't have to hit. Some
that's a big change.
Can hit, and they can hit if they want to.
Like Shohei Ohtani.
like Otani or Madison Bumgarner, Zach Greinke. And just about half an hour ago, a story hit MLB. Major League Baseball plans to make a new proposal to the Players Association on Saturday, as Commissioner Rob Manfred remains optimistic a deal can get done soon enough to open the season on time. I'm an optimist, Manfred said. I believe we will have an agreement in time to play our regular schedule.
He's like us, Macca.
We can. Hey?
He's like us.
Yeah.
He's an optimist. Yeah.
Quite right. Quite right.
Good. You'd have to be an optimist with the problems that man's facing, mate. I mean, it sounds like they may be sorting a few things out. I completely agree with you as well. Just to go to your point before, they'd better sort this out because I think fans are probably running on their last legs as far as, look, come on, mate. We just want to see some baseball, right?
Yeah. And up till probably a week ago, we weren't hearing anything from the actual individual players. We'd heard from the Players Association, who speaks on behalf of the players, but players now are starting to get on social media. They're getting fed up, and some, including Max Scherzer, Marcus Stroman, and James Paxton, have all been outspoken in their comments, claiming owners are ruining the game by their continued actions and non-agreement to take on some of these issues.
Well, they're not backwards and coming forwards. Oh, that's good. That's good. I'm with the players, mate. I'm an old. You know me. You know me. I'm an old communist from way back, mate. Look at the colour I'm wearing. Go the players.
So as I say, spring training was supposed to be starting next week. That's not going to happen. Even if an agreement does get made, in 3 or 4 days, there's paperwork to be tidied up and all that sort of thing. And obviously, there's still transactions to be made. There's still a lot of really good free agents out there that are unsigned. Carlos Correa from the Houston Astros, Freddie Freeman is still a free agent. And lots of trades to happen. I think you'll find once the transfer window opens again, once they've reached an agreement, there's going to be a few very busy teams making trades and player acquisitions.
And you'll keep us all posted,
though.
Yeah,
it wouldn't surprise me if during this lockout, some general managers have been just quietly talking to agents and players. And you might see some of those transactions happen pretty quickly.
Pretty quick. Yeah. Interesting. And you'll keep us across all the baseball stuff.
Absolutely.
Right here on the Hot Air Sports podcast, won't you, mate?
Quite right. Time for some cricket.
Oh, another bat and ball sport. Yep.
Another bat. And the Black Caps squared a test series with Bangladesh after losing the first test and then thumping.
Yeah, smashed them in the second one, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you watch any of it?
I watched quite a lot of it, actually, although on the first day of the first test against Bangladesh, I completely forgot it was on, and it was only when I saw your post congratulating Devon Conway on his 100 that I thought, oh, shit, there was cricket on today.
Yeah, it is a bit hard to sort of work out exactly when the Black Caps are playing because tours are being cancelled left, right and centre and rescheduled and all that sort of stuff. He played really well, Devon Conway, but couldn't stop us from losing that test. We didn't score enough runs, and that's basically it, really. Second test, Tom Latham, absolutely phenomenal performance, and then our bowlers bowled really well, didn't they? Trent Bolt and taking a landmark wicket. It was 300th test wicket, wasn't it? And that was good to see. Our side, mate, it's just great to be a supporter of New Zealand cricket at the moment. I just love the way our side performs. I am a little bit worried, though. We're coming into a series against South Africa, and where the hell is Kane Williamson?
Yeah, that's my question. Still got that elbow problem.
Is it turning into a chronic problem?
The other night, he said he's hitting in the nets for 20 to 25 minutes at the moment, but
and then what?
Kane Williamson needs to bat for 5 to 6 hours.
Exactly.
So it's obviously going to take him a lot of time to build up back to that. I think there are hopes among certainly New Zealand cricket fans that he gives the IPL a miss and just make sure that elbow is right, because we've got a winter tour to England, 3 test series over there. Something very strange, 3 test series. Crikey. What's going on?
And we need all the points we can get if we're going to make the final again this year.
We certainly do. And also, Trent Boult won't be playing in the first test against South Africa too, as he awaits the birth of his child.
Fortunately, though, we've got quite a bit of backup in the fast bowling stakes at the moment. I mean, Williamson's a little bit more of a worry in the batting lineup.
Well, especially as his good mate Ross Taylor's finished playing Test cricket now.
Absolutely, and they brought back Rutherford.
Yeah, Hamish Rutherford. That's going to be interesting. I think you'll probably see Latham and Young opening, and Rutherford will probably pop in at number 3.
I would say that's what they're going to do. Conway at 4. Yeah.
The other big question is, will they play a spinner at
Ajaz
Oval?
Ajaz isn't getting a sniff. He's not even in the squad.
No.
I think he's injured though.
Well, the only one in the squad is Ravindra, Rachin Ravindra.
And I don't think he's a bit of to me, he looks another one of those nude spinners, one of those sort of Mitchell Santner type spinners. I don't know. It's early on. It's early days for him. He did well in India. We'll give him another go. But in that first test, he didn't do much, did he? What about Australia though, mate? They're going through the ringer. Justin Langer, a little bit too intense for the Australian players. They didn't quite like his intensity. They had him running laps if they dropped catches or something. I don't know what he was doing to them. But he's gone, and there's been a lot of ructions in Australian cricket about it.
Yeah, a lot of former players have come out in support of JL, including his good mate Matthew Hayden, who's never backward and coming forward and saying.
And Warnie.
Steve Waugh's come out with a few comments. But yeah, according to Pat Cummins, JL's just a little bit too intense. So what, you'd rather just have a coach who just says, oh, you guys just do what you like.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing is, when you look at when he took over, they were in a shambles. He pulled them out of the gutter. They're finally starting to win some games and win some series. And then, don't need him anymore. We need another different type of. He's back. He said yesterday it wasn't. It's not him personally. It's just the type of coach. I think we need a different type of coach.
Yeah.
What type of coach do you need? I'm not really sure. One that's gonna let you do whatever you want. Keep the sandpaper at the hotel.
Yeah, quite right. Now we've seen an Ashes series over the summer.
Yeah,
it was
did we really?
Just a wee bit one-sided.
Every time I turned it on, it was finished.
Was that the worst English team to ever leave the UK's shores?
I don't think it was, but they were the worst performed. I mean, there was some. Look, when you go back on some of the English sides that in the 70s and 80s, they had some absolutely terrible players. But even then, they tried. It just seemed like this Pommy side, there was a couple of them giving it a go, and the rest of them just couldn't be bothered. They just didn't show any bottle at all, did they, mate? It was just. I don't think they might have won 1 or 2 sessions. Other than that, they lost every single day. You know, it was just. Every single time.
Why? There was some really strange selections.
Oh, I know.
Leaving your 2 premium fast bowlers out of the first test squad.
They seem to want to rest players. We're looking ahead, 5 tests ahead. Well, you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen this test. You know, play your best team. I mean, yeah, I thought they would have learnt that when we went over there and thrashed them, you know, because they did the same thing to us over there. But no, their board, or who is doing the pickings, really got no idea, have they? And Jimmy Anderson and Stuart Broad have paid the price now. It looks like they've both played 1,000 tests each, haven't they? And taken 1 million wickets. So they've both been dropped for the tour of West Indies. Do you reckon that's fair? I didn't think they did that
rubbish.
bad.
Absolute rubbish.
Yeah,
I'd be keeping them playing as long as possible.
Ridiculous.
Jimmy Anderson strutting up to the wicket with a Zimmer frame would still be better than half the other bowlers they've got.
I'd agree. I just can't. And I can't fathom it.
It's like New Zealand touring the West Indies and saying to Tim Southee and Trent Boult,
have a rest. Yeah, have a rest.
Have a rest for 4 months.
It's weird. I mean, I suppose they're collecting a healthy pay packet and they can go play a bit of county cricket. I don't know.
They'll be playing golf, mate.
So, yeah, that's the cricket, mate. I'm looking forward to the Test series against South Africa, though. How do you think we'll go?
Starts on Thursday.
Yep.
Both tests now are down at Hagley Oval. I'm gutted they've moved the second test from Wellington. Not that I would have been able to go and watch anyway. But,
too many protesters.
Yeah, that's the one. So yeah, I think the Black Caps will do all right. It's a very inexperienced South African side. I looked through the team list the other day. There's only about 4 players there that I've ever heard of.
Yeah, they are going through a rebuilding period at the moment. But you always know you're going to get a game against the Saffers, eh? They're just always in the game. They battle. They've always got some young guys coming through. Always got some good quicks. I rate them. It should be a really good series. I'm looking forward to it. Are we only playing 2 tests?
2 tests, standard.
Anyway, yeah. Considering we're the world champions, you would have thought maybe 3, but never mind.
Yeah. Don't be silly.
No.
Time to move back stateside again, and it's the big Super Bowl.
The big dance.
Monday. The Rams and the Bengals. The Bengals last season won 4 games. And
they were pants, weren't they? Yeah. They drafted well. The following year, they're in the Super Bowl. Yep. They drafted well. They got the quarterback they wanted. He learned some lessons last year. He's still learning this year. Joe Burrow from Alabama. I think he's the first Alabama quarterback ever to be drafted number 1. And I was a little bit skeptical about him at the beginning of the season, but he's proved me wrong. He looks spectacular. And I really didn't think they had much of a show last week against Patrick Mahomes. I really thought that the Chiefs would have taken them to the cleaners, but no, they taught me a lesson. So there you go.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you just watched the first half and then didn't bother with the rest of the game, you would have got a hell of a shock when you saw the score.
Absolutely. They came back big time, didn't they? And then, of course, our 49ers.
Before we go to the 49ers, of course, the week before, they eliminated Tom Brady and the Buccaneers.
Yeah, well, we didn't. The Bengals.
No, the Bengals, yeah.
Yeah. That was really sad, wasn't it? See Tom Brady bow out a loser. No, not as big as fan, but no, you have to give the guy credit, mate. He's
absolutely
the winningest quarterback in NFL history, holds every single record. Still not the GOAT for me, though. Joe Montana will always be that. You know that.
Yep. I saw somebody posted, is he the greatest player in his sport? And what I mean by that is comparing him to the likes of Don Bradman, Michael Jordan,
Gretzky,
who are the best in their own sport. Who are the best among those people that are the best in their own sport? I think apples and oranges.
Yeah, it's real hard in football, in American football, because you've got a quarterback who does something completely different to a linebacker, who does something completely different to a running back, and they're not on the field all the time. They're not playing the whole time. So it's so hard in NFL football. You'd have to say he's the best, or he's the most successful quarterback of all time. That's all you can say, really. I mean, he's the most successful quarterback of all time. Most Super Bowls, most rings. And look, when he first came in, the great story about Tom Brady is, of course, he never got drafted properly. He was like the 7th or 8th guy drafted as a quarterback. And so that's the great story, really. But no, I mean, it's sad that he's bowing out a loser. But I think his wife, Giselle, just wanted him to maintain his health. He's getting smashed quite a bit there at the end, wasn't he? So so there you go.
44 years old playing a sport like that.
I know, mate. That's pretty amazing, isn't it? The 49ers, though, mate, our 49ers bowed out. Of course, we lost to the Rams, and that was a sad loss. I thought we probably played to our potential, though. They didn't give Deebo Samuels the ball enough. The week before, I thought we were very lucky against the Green Bay Packers to win that one. And for me, Jimmy Garoppolo just doesn't do it as a quarterback. He just doesn't do enough. He's just not special enough to be the quarterback. He won't be there next year. And that's the end of our story. But the big dance, mate. Rams versus Bengals for the Super Bowl. Who you got?
I'm going for the Bengals. I think it's a great Cinderella story. They just, as we saw in the last game against Kansas, how many points behind were they? 17 points behind or something? 17
points,
just did not give up. And I think if the Rams get out to an early start, we're going to see the same thing happen again. And, Joe Burrow's the only player whose name I know in the Bengals.
Yeah.
I'm going to be supporting the Tigers.
Yeah, fair enough. I like the Tigers too. And It would be a lovely thing for the city of Cincinnati as well, who
Yeah.
are long-term losers in every single sport and every single team. I think their catch cry this year is "Why not us?" It's one of those typical sort of understated things from one of the smaller cities in the United States. That why not? Why can't we win once? So good on them.
And it's just a shame that legendary WKRP in Cincinnati.
Dr. Johnny Fever.
Dr. Johnny Fever won't get to see it, unfortunately.
Very sad, very sad. Rest in peace to that legend.
Away a couple of weeks ago.
Very sad.
Anyway, on to the Winter Olympics. We've got a gold medal, mate.
Gold medal! 30 years on from our first Olympic winter medal, which was Annalisa Coburger, wasn't it?
Annalisa Coburger in the slalom. Albertville.
When they used to hold the Winter Olympics at places where it was actually winter and where it was actually they had snowfields and they didn't have to make them by hand. But no, absolutely amazing. Zoe Sadowski said it. I can't say I understood a thing she did other than go around a lot of times and woo, and she landed okay. As soon as she goes up the jump. Oh, there she's landed! Yay!
I'm an expert, mate. I'm an expert.
What was the final jump she did, mate? That was
it was the triple wedge somersault,
1280 back slip. Yeah,
back flip, land backwards.
It was superb. It was a superb effort. And what I love about her is she just seems like your typical girl next door, doesn't she? And her old man definitely seems like
her dad enjoyed it.
With the best interview I think I've ever seen on sports news. He thought he's fucking proud.
Yeah, a few F-bombs in there.
He did. It was beautiful.
Yeah. Anyway.
Loved it.
And she's back on the slopes again tomorrow.
Yeah, in her favourite event too.
The big air.
The favourite event. So
and of course we've still got Nico Porteous to have a go, and Alice Robinson, who unfortunately didn't do too well in her favourite event, but she's got Super G qualifying. They call it the fastest downhill ski of all the
Super
Winter
G
Olympic races.
That'd be Earl Curtin's favourite sport at the Winter Olympics. Then
super gas,
lots of gas down the hill.
But tennis has gone on since we.
It has, but not for Novak. Not for Novak though. No,
not for Novak's.
Ash Barty, that was awesome. She cracked the bear after winning the Aussie Open. What a champion that woman is for Australia. She showed them all what grace and class is all about. I wish some of the people in the stands would take a leaf out of her book and be a little bit more classy, because that was kind of the story of the Australian Open for me. Other than the Novak, what would you call it, debacle. Other than that, the swee and all that sort of stuff. What's his name? The Australian dickhead.
Kyrgios.
The guy is just such a plonker. I mean, he makes Leighton Hewitt look reserved, doesn't he? He's just I loved when Michael Venus gave him a crack and called him an asshole. I thought that's perfect. Right. That's what needed to happen. And then in the male final, it was great to see old Rafa take out his 21st and go ahead as the number one tennis player of all time as far as Grand Slams go. So I
didn't watch the game, but man, it must have been riveting viewing after
5 hours,
2 sets down, and Medvedev just all over him.
I know,
to win those last 3 sets and claim the title. It was a fabulous result.
Rafa is a fighter. He just never gives up. He's just a phenomenal athlete, but he's more than an athlete. He's a fighter. Just a class from the guy. I mean, it's obviously hard court's not his natural surface either, and Medvedev had been playing so well during the tournament. So I was stoked for him.
I think we'll give Novak a miss.
We will. We'll give him a yeah, we do. And a sad moment. We talked about it earlier in the podcast. Rest in peace, Big Olsen Filipina in New Zealand, Western Samoa, Mangere East, Balmain, Eastern Suburbs Roosters, North Sydney Bears, often picked from reserve grade to play for the Kiwis. He never let them down, often dominated more highly rated opponents, never more so than in 1985, that series when he was named, I think he was named man of the series when he made Wally Lewis look absolutely stupid a couple of times and ran over the top of him. Gone way too soon. Big Olsen, only 64 years old, and he will be missed by the league community in New Zealand.
Now, a little known fact about Olsen Filipina that didn't actually happen with Olsen, but we all remember the David tour on Wheel of Fortune.
Yes.
Now, everybody, including the producer of Wheel of Fortune, thought that when David was asking for a vowel, that he said "oh" for awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That apparently is not the case.
No, it's not. Not if you listen back.
When you listen back,
we know that David tours from Mangere East.
South
first
Auckland.
of all.
Yes. Mangere East, same place as the great Olsen Filipina.
That's right.
And David was in fact saying, "I'll have an O for Olsen."
That's exactly right. That's exactly what he said. O for Olsen. O for Olsen. Yeah, and it sounded like awesome. It did. Yeah. And it made them, and of course, David Tour was too polite to say, "Oh no, I said O for Olsen." Yeah. Because everyone in Mangere East thought that Olsen was a fair dinkum legend, and he is. Yeah. So there you go. O for Olsen.
And it was further confirmed, like when you went back into the show, and whenever David was asking for a letter, he always "I'll have a T for Tim."
That's exactly right.
And
names
a P for Peter. So
they were names.
Using names.
Yeah.
Of
and if anyone would know anything about the story, it would be you, wouldn't it, Ian McDonald? Because I seem to remember that you had a little bit of a run on Wheel of Fortune a few years ago.
I did have a bit of a run. Right? Yes, had a bit of a run on Wheel of Fortune. Did my best Richie Benno impersonation.
That's right.
After I'd won a couple of prizes, I said, it's a really marvellous effort.
Fantastic. He'll have an A for Aaron.
Yeah, quite right. What's our best bet of the week?
Okay, mate, the hot air best bet of the week. Okay, here we go. It's going to take a little while for it to come in, but you can lock it in for me now. It's $3.75. Great value. The Warriors to make the top 8, mate. The Warriors to make the top 8, $3.75. That price is only going to get lower as the Warriors get higher and higher in the table. And to make me even more confident about this, the TAB said that someone put $10,000 on it this week. The Warriors to win.
Somebody more confident than you.
To get the top 8. No, I put my $10 on it. It's, it's pay grades. But $3.75, that's some good coin, mate. That's some good coin. Good value.
It's not bad. That's not bad. As you say, you might have to wait for a wee while to make that money back. But anyway.
Good week, bad week.
Yeah, good week, bad week. Good week. Lydia Ko has continued her remarkable comeback to the winner's circle after a most recent victory last weekend at the Gainbridge LPGA, following another tournament win in Florida in January. And she is shooting up the leaderboard for number of wins in LPGA. I think she's up to 10th equal now on the leaderboard. So, Lydia Ko performing great things on the golf course. Bad week, the all-Kiwi round-the-world yacht race team has had to pull the pin on their entry after failing to gain enough sponsorship once the Auckland stopover in the race was taken out.
Yeah, no good for yachties, hey?
No good for yachties.
No good.
Always like that round the world. It's
me too.
It's a quality event and it's proper sailing.
Exactly.
Bloody foiling and.
I liked it when it was called the Whitbread Round the World Yacht Race.
Whitbread Round the World Yacht Race, yes.
That's right, yes.
And we had such luminaries as Peter Blake.
That's right. And the wife and I used to work down on the wharves when there was the Round the World Yacht Race, when we had the stopover and the pop-up Mexican restaurant. There you go. All those years ago, we worked in hospitality. So there you go. If you had some nachos down at the down on the viaduct during the Whitbread Round the World Yacht Race back in the early 1990s, they were probably prepared by yours truly. Here
we go.
You can thank me for the hot cheese and the hot air. And on that bombshell.
There's lots of hot air. So, yes, we're back. And, we might come up with a few variations on the podcast in coming weeks. We'll see what the production team can come up with. And,
absolutely.
Look out for some surprises over the next few weeks with the Hot Air Sports Podcast, back and better than ever.
Absolutely. Give us a like, share, comment, all that good stuff. Make sure you do. Drop us one tomorrow down below, and we'll give you a mention next week. We'll catch you next week. Until then, it's good night from me.
And it's goodbye from him.